What's going on, guys? Welcome to Clutch People. I hope you guys are having an amazing day or night. And today I'm bringing you guys my 2020 NBA mock draft. Of course, the lottery literally happened a couple days ago. Being a New York Knicks fan, I got disappointed once again. It's really weird. I expect bad things happen to the New York Knicks, especially when your owner is James Dolan. But I still get sad because it's my sports team at the end of the day. But I hope you guys are excited. I'm really excited this 2020 NBA mock draft. This is with fit and value. Some of these picks are just value, like towards the end when the draft kind of starts to fall off towards around 13 or 14, but they're still very valuable pieces. I don't think there's a Zion in this draft. I don't think there's a John Morant, but I think there's a bunch of very solid players in this draft. After the top three picks, in my opinion, they're all solid to maybe they're going to end up being good NBA players. There's probably three players in this draft that I think could end up being all-stars. I don't really see a superstar in this draft, so no further ado, let's get right into the mock draft. As with the first pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves taking Anthony Edwards out of Georgia. Talk about a player with a bulldog type of mentality. He is not afraid of the big moment. I do think he definitely needs to get better with his basketball IQ when it comes to his shot selection for sure, but he definitely has big time potential on the defense side of the basketball. He's coming into the league with an NBA ready body, whereas he reminds me of a Victor Oladipo when it comes to his NBA ready body for sure, but his shot mechanics can kind of be iffy and inconsistent. But talk about a player that can do a little bit of everything. He can attack the basket. He is a very underrated playmaker. I think that's one of the most underrated parts of his game, and I think he'd fit perfectly alongside D'Angelo Russell. I think the defense would just be absolutely awful if we take LaMelo Ball here. I get it. Some people may say D'Angelo Russell is a better player off the ball playing the shooting guard position, but getting a guy like Anthony Edwards would be amazing. At the end of the day, Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell are not the greatest of defenders, but if you're going to have to draft someone, get someone that could play on both ends of the ball. And one of the biggest question marks is his efficiency, but if he puts in the work and puts his whole skill set together, I think he's going to be a very valuable piece for a long time with the Minnesota Timberwolves that they will waste, of course. As with the second overall pick, the Golden State Warriors select James Wiseman from Memphis. This is if they don't trade down. I was thinking before the draft lottery, they should trade down and get a guy like Deni Avdija. I think they're really in love with Deni Avdija. They love his skill set that he could really fit there. And also a guy like Tyrese Halliburton that could do a little bit of everything, a very versatile skill set. But if you take a look at the Warriors championship teams, they didn't really have a big-time center. They just had a guy that can get the job done and run up and down the floor. Like Andrew Bogut was just good enough. JaVale McGee, athletic big. He could just do the little things to contribute to the basketball team and block shots for sure. But if you take a look at the Golden State Warriors, of course, they have Stephen Curry at the point guard position. They have Klay Thompson. They have Andrew Wiggins, who I think is going to have a solid season because pressure is going to be taken off of him. He's not going to have pressure to be a number one or number two option, and he's not really going to be out of his comfort zone. He's going to be able to play his style of basketball while pressure being taken off of him because he has shooters around him for sure. And if you take a guy like James Wiseman, I think he fits them perfectly. Talk about a guy that can run the floor, and the Warriors are really an up and down team running the floor. He did not have much of a sample size when it came to Memphis. I know coming out of high school, I believe he was the number one player. They're calling him the unicorn. He can shoot the basketball from beyond the arc. That really never translated to the college level, probably because he didn't have much of a sample size, but he has a soft touch around the rim. He does need to do a better job really positioning himself on the defense side of the basketball. But talk about a freak athlete, can get up and down the floor, high basketball motor. When it comes to talent alone, you could say he's the most talented player in this draft, him or LaMelo Ball. But if the Warriors stay at 2, they're selecting James Wiseman from Memphis. With the third pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the Charlotte Hornets selecting LaMelo Ball from Austria. LaMelo Ball, of course, has been hyped up since high school, of course, being the brother of Lonzo and LiAngelo Ball. LiAngelo Ball is not on an NBA team. I believe he's on the practice team of Oklahoma City. Of course, Lonzo Ball is a member of the New Orleans Pelicans, has been a good I would say he's been a good player in his NBA career. Hasn't lived up to the second overall pick potential, but when it comes to playmaking, defense, he's been good on that aspect. He's still inconsistent scoring the basketball. Did get better when he got a change of scenery, shooting 40% from 3, but he's absolutely horrid in the bubble. But LaMelo Ball, he's just so much fun to watch. Lonzo definitely does not have the shiftiness of a LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball has a lot more offensive upside when it comes to creating his own shot. He doesn't even need a screen because he's that shifty and that fast, in my opinion. The turnovers were definitely a big X factor of the season, and just playing on a very bad team, he would make some beautiful passes and his teammates would not execute. But I think the big X factor also is shooting early in the shot clock. Shot selection is a big thing with him, and trying to do too much as well. But I think LaMelo Ball has a lot of talent for sure. Just running up and down the court with Miles Bridges should be fun to watch. Out in transition, plays a really fluid and just fast style of play, just like how Lonzo does as well. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what LaMelo Ball could do with, maybe you can move Devontae Graham to the 2 because he's proved to be able to shoot the 3 ball. Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, very interesting style of play, and they're going to be very excited to play with him, and he's also a sneaky athlete. With the 4th overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the Chicago Bulls selecting Deni Avdija from Israel. I think this would honestly be a great pick for the Chicago Bulls. I'm very excited for them because the Chicago Bulls basketball may be back again and good. Of course, the whole Garpax thing is gone, with Foreman gone, John Paxson gone, Jim Boylan's gone, and looks like they're moving in the right direction. They are a rebuilding young team. I do think they have some very good, or they just have some good young pieces, but I'm not sure if they mesh together yet. Wendell Carter Jr., a good player, can't consistently stay healthy. Lauri Markkanen's really going to pick and pop situations, space the floor, struggles on the defense side of the basketball. Sneaky athlete. Kobe White, I'm not sure if he could be a starter yet for the Chicago Bulls, because he's like that microwave type of scorer. He has to prove to be consistent, but he was a rookie, and he really never got the fair opportunity, but the inconsistent playmaking as well. But he could score that rock. At worst, he's going to be a very good contributing piece for the Chicago Bulls off the bench. Zach LaVine, trade rumors and that type of thing. But Deni Avdija could do a little bit of everything. He doesn't have an insanely good handle, needs to get better in the open floor, can get sloppy, but talk about a player with a very high basketball IQ. The Luka Doncic comparisons are insane. No one is Luka Doncic. Definitely is a nice step back in his arsenal, but like Luka, I'm not saying he's Luka, he makes up for his athleticism with his basketball IQ. His ability to see things before they happen is insane. I would like to see him consistently at a Euro step when going to the basket, but since the virus break, he really improved the efficiency from downtown, putting on an NBA-ready body, and he's an underrated defender as well. He's really good at holding his ground, and I think that would be a great pick for the Chicago Bulls. He's kind of like a point forward, could do a little bit of everything, and he has a great work ethic. I'm really excited to see what Deni Avdija is going to do with the Chicago Bulls. With the 5th pick, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers selecting Obi Toppin from Dayton. There's a lot of hate on Obi Toppin because he doesn't play a lot of defense. Freak athlete, can stretch it outside to the perimeter. Would like to see that on a consistent basis. For sure, I want to say he's a big-time shooter, but talk about a rim runner. And this would be amazing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're in just such a weird position. I didn't know who to draft for them. They're not going for a point guard. They already came out and said that. They have Darius Garland, Colin Sexton. They do some interesting stuff. They went out there, got Andre Drummond, who they're probably going to bring back in free agency. So they're going to continuously get the 5th overall pick. Don't worry, Chicago Bulls fans. You're not getting the 7th overall pick anymore or you're not going to have that curse of the 7th overall pick because the Cavs have a brand new curse and they're going to be getting the 5th overall pick for years to come. But Obi Toppin, I think, is a talented player. Big X factor is definitely his age, but he really turned around that Dayton program and he was a very solid and efficient player. And he's a rim running player that's going to be very fun to watch. They're in such an interesting position because, I'm not sure who to draft. You can't draft a point guard here. It's a point guard heavy draft. Killian Hayes still available. RJ Hampton, Cole Anthony. You could maybe get a solid guy like Aaron Naismith, but I think they're just going to go best player available or best talent, and to them, that's probably Obi Toppin. And the Cavs like to do really weird things, but Obi Toppin, underrated shooter from the outside, does need to do a better job positioning himself on the defense side of the basketball. But just having Andre Drummond there, maybe you could put Obi Toppin at the 4 because he can kind of stretch the floor. Have a guy like Kevin Love at the 3 and then Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. They're such a weird put-together basketball team. I can't get hate for this pick because they're already a weird put-together basketball team that don't be surprised if they draft Obi Toppin. With the 6th overall pick, I have the Atlanta Hawks selecting Tyrese Halliburton from Iowa State. Some people may be like, he's a point guard, but he'll fit perfectly alongside Trae Young. I think he's potential to be a combo guard in the NBA. Talk about a player that can stretch it outside to the outside. He can stretch it from downtown and really pull the trigger. His shot mechanics are the key X factor, but the Atlanta Hawks need defense, and they need someone that can make alongside Trae Young and knock down the 3 ball as well. I think he really fits that team. He's not a crazy freak athlete, but he's such a smart player. I don't think he's going to be an all-star, but he's just going to be such a solid starter for them. And they need someone that could back up Trae Young on the defense side of the basketball, but going to also set up teammates. I know he won't take the ball out of Trae Young's hands. And they need someone that can catch and shoot. It's perfect because any other team he goes to and ends up being a point guard, Tyrese Halliburton, I don't think he'll fit out that well because he can't really shoot the 3 off the dribble. But being alongside of Trae Young, he's going to be working off screens and catch and shoot situations. That's what he's known as. And I think he'll be good. He's a good defender as well. And I just think it would be a great fit with the Atlanta Hawks for sure. As with the 7th pick, I have the Detroit Pistons selecting Killian Hayes Their team, I'm glad they've kind of blown it up. Andre Drummond being gone. They're just waiting for that Blake Griffin contract to be up, of course. But Killian Hayes is the guy, in my opinion, you select here. Derrick Rose, it's been amazing seeing him ball, mature his game, stay out of harm's way. And, of course, he was way more talented, or he had more in his arsenal when it came to the athleticism side of the basketball earlier in his career. But he's definitely matured his game and stayed out of harm's way when going to teams later in his career. And he's definitely been doing his thing, which is fun to watch. Like with Timberwolves when he went to the Pistons, he was balling, but Derrick Rose isn't their point guard of the future, and I love Derrick Rose. Killian Hayes from France, he's just a smooth style player. Reminds me of a Goran Dragic, and he reminds me of like a little bit of a Drew Holiday. You can see some D'Angelo Russell in his game, but he's definitely going to be taken for his offensive potential, but he's an underrated defender as well. He doesn't jump the passing lanes unnecessarily. He's really good at reading blitzes. He's really good at reading certain coverages when it comes to like certain blitzes out of like double teams. I would like to see him like when a blitz comes to dribble it more outside to the perimeter or make quicker decisions. But because of certain blitzes, that really resulted in turnovers. But his jump shot got better year after year, which is really fun to watch. And he's a fluid jump shot. He's an NBA ready handle. He has a nice step back in his arsenal. I think it would just be so fun to watch with Suku Demboy as well, a little French connection. I believe, what's his name, Mr. Doom or something like that, Suku Demboy's nickname. But I just think that would be a great connection in my opinion. Out on the open court, good playmaker as well. But out of blitzes, which he won't see as much in the NBA, I think this is a good fit. Moving on, the 8th overall pick, the New York Knicks. I have them selecting Devin Vassell. Vassell. I like Vassell. Vassell just sounds better. Vassell, Vassell. I'm calling him Vassell. He's out of Florida State, and this is time for the Knicks to redeem themselves. Don't go for a project. Go for a player that's going to make an impact right away, and this is Devin Vassell. They made that mistake with Kevin Knox. They still have a project of Kevin Knox, and if you want to still develop him and then get like a solid player that's going to make an impact right away, I don't care about projects. It's really cool, but they're really risky, in my opinion, and the New York Knicks should just get a good basketball player. They need shooting, they need defense. 3-and-D player. Of course, they passed on Mikal Bridges to take Kevin Knox. Hopefully he improves. They got that brand new Kentucky assistant coach. Hopefully helps develop Kevin Knox. He's on his last leg, in my opinion. But talk about a player that's athletic, can run the floor. Sometimes he gets beat, but everyone gets beat at the end of the day on the defense side of the basketball. But he's a good defender. He's just so fun to watch when he's guarding someone, go to the basket and penetrate, and he's such a smooth shot. He is pretty skinny, but good athlete, good shooter, good at guarding outside the perimeter, won't give up on a play. Perfect pick here for the New York Knicks. Move R.J. Barrett over to the 3. Have a guy like Devin Vassell or Vassell at the 2. And finally give Frank Ntilikina an opportunity. If Frank Ntilikina sucks, he sucks. Start him for a whole season. If he sucks, then move on. He could be backup point guard or just a nice role player for the Knicks, and then you draft a point guard in the upcoming draft. But Devin Vassell going to the New York Knicks. With the 9th overall pick, I have the Washington Wizards. In my opinion, this is a steal, as they're going to be selecting Onyeka Okongwu. I like to pronounce it that way, too. Some people pronounce it differently. It just sounds right to me. I'm sorry, y'all. At the end of the day, you know who the player is. He actually did play at Chino Hills with LiAngelo Ball, LaMelo Ball, and Lonzo at one point, and he ended up attending USC, and he is actually one of the most dominant players when it came to the defense side of the basketball in college. Talk about a freak athlete. I think he's that type of player that's just going to be a good player. He doesn't have a high ceiling, but he's going to enter right away and make a great impact on the defense side of the basketball. Really good in pick and roll situations. Has a nice mid-range shot in his arsenal. I would like to expand it to the outside. But if you look at the Wizards, they were one of the worst teams on the defense side of the basketball, giving up a lot of points, and I think this is honestly the perfect pick. He can play power forward or center. They need help on defense. He's just such a freak athlete. He can guard the perimeter as well, and I think this is a good pick for the Washington Wizards. Moving on to the 10th pick, the Phoenix Suns. They finally draft a point guard, and I'm actually going to give the Phoenix Suns some credit here. Of course, they traded down. They got Cam Johnson. They got Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome really hasn't been much. He's just a nice role piece to really be there if someone gets injured or something. But Cam Johnson is the real deal in my opinion. It's just his rookie year, but he could shoot. He could shoot the heck out of the basketball. He's not the greatest defensively, but he's a sneaky athlete, has a solid handle, good at coming off his screens. He could just shoot that basketball for sure, and it's insane watching Cam Johnson play. He's just a great scorer. He was insane in the bubble. Had an underrated rookie year in my opinion. And the pick they ended up trading, Jarrett Culver's been trashed so far. I still think he can be a good player. He was just terrible offensively. Defensively, he was fine. He's very raw, but right now they're looking fine with Cam Johnson. But I have them selecting R.J. Hampton. And RJ Hampton, I would say, has an inconsistent jump shot, but he has a good-looking jump shot. And he's the type of player that could play the 1 or 2. He's not going to really take the ball out of Devin Booker's hands. He can shoot on catch-and-shoot situations. He's a great athlete, has potential on the defense side of the basketball, but he could also set up his teammates. And I think this would be a great pick for the Phoenix Suns. With the 11th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Cole Anthony from UNC. And Spurs are so good at developing talent. I don't think it's just Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich is amazing, but their coaching staff as a whole does such a great job, in my opinion. And just if you get a guy like Cole Anthony, of course, he played at UNC. He's one of the top players. I think people really get distracted after the day from what high school he came from. And they still think of the high school like, oh, he went to Oak Hill. He was dominating in high school. Of course, he's going to be a good NBA player. No, there's so many good players in high school that suck in the NBA or aren't that good in college, like Stanley Johnson, for example. But Cole Anthony, he's known for that score-first mentality. He's very ball-dominant, not the greatest of playmaker. He's not good at recognizing when someone's open. Like when he attacks the basket, he doesn't recognize when to kick it out to certain men. But he's not the greatest of playmaker, sneaky athlete. He's like a really raw, talented player. That's why I would give him to the San Antonio Spurs and like really develop him, in my opinion, just making sure the volume was on, because you never know. I could be recording this whole video and it could be a wrap, but Cole Anthony, I think, would be good with the Spurs. Very talented, and they can get the most out of him. But sneaky athlete, shot selection needs work. And for sure, he's definitely smaller, but if anyone could develop him, it is the San Antonio Spurs. With the 12th pick, I have the Sacramento Kings selecting Aaron Naismith. Aaron Naismith, he's an interesting prospect. Didn't play that much at Vanderbilt. And the big knock on him for sure, I'm going to be giving him to the Sacramento Kings. They need more spacing of the basketball. And he's a solid perimeter defender as well. The big knock on him is definitely the small sample size. He shot 51% from 3, but he did not play that many games. And a big knock on him was the competition he was playing. But I think 12 is the right slot. I would be upset if the Knicks took him at 8, but if we traded down, I'd be happy with that. But I think there's a good pick for the King, because he's that type of player that, gosh, like the Kings, I can't give them anyone or they're just going to mess them up, honestly. But I really do like Aaron Naismith. He's a really good perimeter. He has a really nice perimeter shot. He can shoot it from the outside. And it just seems like such a Sacramento Kings pick, in my opinion. But they need someone that could just shoot the thread out of the basketball, and that is Aaron Naismith from Vanderbilt. With the 13th pick, the New Orleans Pelicans select Sadiq Bey from Villanova. I think this would be a great pick for the Pelicans. They need some spacing on the floor. Drew Holiday, solid shooter, inconsistent from downtown. Lonzo Ball, like at least since the bubble, could you rely on him to consistently shoot the ball from downtown? Derek Favors can't stretch the floor. Zion Williamson can't stretch the floor. You have guys coming off the bench. I'm not sure if Sadiq Bey is going to start, but he's going to come in as a nice role player, maybe a nice starter at best in his NBA career. Come in, be a good defensive player, knock down threes, and another year Villanova has a nice 3-and-D player. Some people question his mechanics, but I think the Pelicans really need help spacing the floor. As with the 14th pick, the final pick of the lottery, the Boston Celtics select Tyrese Maxey. I think he's one of the most amazing talents in this draft. Tyrese Maxey, it all comes down to the consistency and the efficiency with Tyrese Maxey. He's kind of like a combo guard, 6'2". Some people label him as like a shooting guard, 6'2", 6'3". He's athletic. He definitely has jump shot potential. It all comes down to the efficiency, though. But if you see what he was surrounded with at Kentucky, it definitely wasn't one of the greatest Kentucky years at all for the Kentucky product when Tyrese Maxey was at Kentucky, of course. But I think the Boston Celtics, they're one of those teams. They could just snag a very talented guy and develop him, and he can end up being a very nice role player off the bench. And Tyrese Maxey's a dog, not afraid of the big moment. His killer mentality, very hard worker. He doesn't give up on any play. But yeah, let me know down below your thoughts on this 2020 NBA mock draft. I literally put together this list in like 2 minutes. To me, it made sense. If it didn't to you guys, let me know down below your thoughts. If you guys don't agree, it's completely fine. And as always, guys, have a humble day or night. Peace out, y'all.